This week, I'm going to give you my take on the debt forgiveness, why we need education reform, and I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do right now to help ease the cost of higher education. Let's dive right in. So first, my take on this whole debt relief thing. If you are someone who has the opportunity to be getting this money to help you relieve some of the debt, I sincerely hope that you take full advantage of it. There are plenty of people out there that are hating this decision, that have problems with it, they call it theft or whatever it is, but don't listen to them. Corporations in other countries get relief from the United States all the time. I consider this a win for the little guy. Does debt need to get repaid? Absolutely. I've repaid over $180,000 of student loans. I repaid over $20,000 of credit card debt with no debt relief, by the way. I still feel okay with this. Because should the government have been charging this egregious 7-8% interest rates on a lot of its student loans? Absolutely not. Ridiculous. This country needs education reform and student loan reform, but that is way beyond my pay grade here. Right now, though, let's just face reality for a second. Student loan payments are still paused through the end of the year, and you are potentially going to be getting some relief based on whether you qualify. That 0% interest is a complete gift. Let's just go back. It was put in place at the beginning of the pandemic. It has somehow stuck around for over 2 years. And I'd consider this a lifeline. Were me in search of a rescue boat, I would grab a hold of this and run like hell. Pay off the debt as fast as you can and use this as an opportunity to get an advantage. Now, we can't look at this student loan debate without talking about the cost of education. And let's just look for a second at how much federal student loan debt actually exists. In 1995, the federal student loan debt was just under $200 billion. From 95 to today, 2022, that has increased almost 800%. There's about $1.7 trillion of student loans outstanding. This is unfathomable amount of money. And the average federal student loan debt balance is around $38,000. And if you factor in private loans, it's about $40,000 per borrower. The real problem here is that the costs are just too damn high. According to the U.S. Digest of Education Statistics, in 1985, the year I was born, the average cost to attend a 4-year school, tuition, room, board, was under $3,000. In 2022 dollars, that's about $8,000 per year. Crazy when you compare that to the cost of school today. For the 2021-22 academic year, costs came out to this. About $38,000 tuition for private school, just under $11,000 for public colleges for in-state residents, and for out-of-state residents, it was around $27,000, $28,000 per year. But tuition and fees aren't the only costs to go to school, right? You have to pay for a room and board and food. So according to the College Board, in a report that they put out in 2021 called Trends in College Pricing and Student Aid, but let's just look at a private institution. They said that the budget all in was around $55,000, but I think this is still too low. Just for laughs, I actually looked up the tuition at where I went to school, Franklin and Marshall College. Love the school, love my experience there. Go Diplomats. But I wanted to see how much it costs today to actually go there. Now, Franklin Marshall is a small private school in southeastern Pennsylvania, but tuition starts at just under $66,000 per year. But what's crazy is that on the school's website, they say that the cost to actually educate students is far beyond what they actually charge in tuition, meaning that they rely on grants and alumni donations and distributions from their endowment in order to fund education. So we can sit here and we could debate federal student loan debt forgiveness and 0% interest rates, but the real problem is the unrealistic cost to actually get a higher education degree. You know I'm here to add value and not just give you the news. So if you are going to school or you are supporting someone who plans on going to school, here are 5 things that I think you could do right now to deal with the cost of education. Number 1, parents can utilize what's called a 529 plan to help save for their kids' future education. There are a host of benefits to 529s. There's tax benefits. You have the ability to transfer some of these plans if you want to. But the biggest benefit is that you can invest your money within the plan. The money will, in theory, grow over time, and the money can then be used for what's called qualified educational expenses. This can be tuition, fees, room, books, supplies, and equipment. This can absolutely be an asset to help you pay for someone's education, especially if you're looking to pay this out over many years. This can be an asset for you to pay for education while also spreading out the cost over many years. I can tell you that I use this for my 2 kids, and I just have an auto debit every single month. A set amount for each kid goes in there, goes into a target date fund, and I don't even think about it. I factor it into my budget, and if you need a budget, I'll link to mine below in the show notes that you can use to get organized. And if you are using a budget, I would recommend that you put this expense into your budget so you're actually accounting for it every single month. Number 2, parents shouldn't be putting a burden on themselves economically to pay for education if it means that they're going to take on tremendous debt. I think of the announcement on an airplane, which says, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you actually help other people. You need to get your own life together before you can actually go on and help others. So maybe this tip doesn't quite deal with the cost of education today, but at the very least, I wanted to bring up the idea that you can be thinking of other ways to pay for education beyond just blindly taking on a ton of debt if you can't afford it right now. I recently did a post about how my wife and I considered the actual cost of having kids before we had kids. And a lot of people actually took pretty negatively to that post, saying that that's not something that you should do. You should just have kids and you'll always find a way to provide. That's just not in my nature. I needed to make sure that I was fit physically, mentally, and financially before taking on a ton of responsibility, which, by the way, kids are a massive responsibility and completely unpredictable. Having said that, this is not about sitting at a spreadsheet and calculating every single penny in terms of how much you're going to spend on a kid, because that's not going to actually work out. And if you're looking for just some basic criteria to help you determine whether you're going to be able to support kids and potentially support their education one day, I would just simply look at whether you have a secure job. Are you getting a steady paycheck? Do you have shelter and food and all of the things that you would need in order to support your children? Consider them before you actually have them. That will give you a really good picture as to whether you can afford kids and the responsibilities that they come with. Now, whether you'll be able to afford to pay for their college is another thing. But in theory, hopefully you will be making more money over time to the point where you don't have to take on massive debt to pay for their education. And if you do find that you're going to take on massive debt to pay for their education, you're going to want to listen to the next tips. Number 3, look into prepaid college options. I had no idea this existed until I actually moved to a state that offered this option. What it is it actually allows you to prepay the cost of an in-state college or university over time. And when your child gets to the age where they're eligible to apply for school, if they get in-state, the tuition is paid for. Right now, I looked this up, I could pay $200 per month for my child for the next 160 plus months, and their tuition would be completely paid for. This works out to be about $34,000, all paid all in. If I don't send my child to a school in-state, I can get that money back. And there are lump sum options. So if I ever had a big financial windfall or hit the lottery, I'm gonna take $27,000, which is actually the amount I could use right now, pay that, and my kid's tuition would be done. So whether or not you have that prepaid option, you're also going to want to look into option number 4, which are scholarships and grants. Right now, you can go to scholarships.com. There are tons of grants and programs that you can apply for. Some of them are $500 or $1,000. Another one I found offered a $100,000 scholarship for well-rounded students who gave back to the community. All this is to say that there is opportunity out there. There's money and very generous donations and grants available for people who are seeking it. So if you are looking to offset the cost of college, why not try to apply to one of these things and potentially save yourself thousands of dollars? And the last way to offset the crazy expense of higher education is to work while in school. I did this all 4 years while I was in college. I actually worked in my school's community service office. I ran blood drives and park sponsorships and cleanups and different things like that, but I made some money. Did it fully pay for my tuition? No, but it certainly helped offset the cost of going to school and helped me afford things like food and rent. I know plenty of people who took out extra loans or ran into credit card debt because they didn't have money to pay for things while in college. This is a great way to make some extra scratch so that you don't actually get in more debt while in school. So there you have it, 5 ways to offset the cost of higher education. As always, I hope this was educational and informative for you. And if you can't get enough of the Ian Builds Wealth community, make sure you subscribe to my channel below. You can go find me on all of the socials. And you can click the link in my show notes below to join my email list. I send 5 money tips every single Monday, totally free. Sign up. It's awesome. And until next week, stay smart out there. I'm Ian Group. See you later.